Over the last 10 months, I've been confronted with frustration on many different levels, whether it be interpersonal, as I tried to navigate what seemed like the increasingly complex group dynamics of my team service project, or if it was negotiating my personal need to take a lot of time while I'm thinking and considering my future path with the program's encouragement to have some pretty clear goals. Or if it's institutional challenges that I came face to face with every day at a local elementary school. All while coming to terms with the political realities of an election that resulted in an administration that is setting the stage to really only amplify these personal, interpersonal, and institutional issues. So my immediate and natural reaction to these frustrations was silence. As a socially sensitive person, I can be sort of preoccupied with others' perceptions and expectations of me. But as more and more of these frustrations build up, I just strained to keep them inside. I rarely expressed what I was feeling, and I became more and more exasperated. At the elementary school, where I provided academic support to first graders, the most difficult part of my day was unquestionably lunch duty, where I was required to demand the attention and request the obedience of 48-year-olds at a time. At first, I tried to replicate some of the discipline that I saw, and I tried to use my big adult authoritative voice, but I became pretty quickly practically hopeless as the students just barely batted an eye at my big authoritative voice. And I can recall a few times that I was just so depleted by this experience that just right after lunch duty, I just had to get in the car, go for a ride, give myself some space because it really was starting to take a toll on me. So at this point in my year of service, I was tired, I wasn't enjoying myself, and I was pretty ready to give up. And this method of silently enduring my frustrations was not only taking a toll on me. Feedback that I received from my peers and public allies brought my attention to the ways that my frustration was manifesting itself. So I was told that I could be passive-aggressive, or cold, or snarky, all of which are not adjectives that I would like to be associated with. So it became really apparent to me that bundling up my frustrations was not only hurting me, but it was also putting my relationships with everyone at risk. So as I really started to acknowledge the toll that my silence enduring was taking, I realized that it was time to make a change. And I made a conscious effort to express my frustrations in a manner that felt true to me. I decided to just trust my nature. So at school, I gave up my attempt to use my big adult authoritative voice, and I just embraced my honest humor. In the cafeteria, instead of demanding the students' attention, I sat down with them, we shared stories, I engaged with them, and I set the precedence that we were going to use our manners to get what we wanted instead of demanding something, and that was both ways, myself and the students. And that's certainly not to say that all of a sudden I was completely respected and everybody listened to me all the time and it was easy going. These were still 8-year-olds and they still didn't always want to follow directions. But embracing my nature allowed me to foster relationships with students where I could be vulnerable about my frustrations and even say, as I did to a student, I am so frustrated right now. None of you are listening to me. I'm so tired. And I really think I'm going to lose my mind right now. To which the student looked up to me and said, you need to take the day off tomorrow. So voicing my frustrations in an honest manner that felt true to me allowed me to create relationships that were built on mutual respect and compassion for one another. When I expressed my frustrations, I made room for patience and compassion to grow. And my relationship with almost every student flourished. When we worked together like on an individual basis, we would check in with one another. So I would say, how are you two doing today? And they would say, how am I doing today? And I might say, well, today I'm feeling anxious and tired. And one student looked at me and he said, okay. He was like, let's just take 3 deep breaths before we get started. And this is just an 8-year-old showing me compassion. We're just having this relationship. So before we got started on our work, we just took a couple deep breaths and then got started. So I was feeling really inspired by the relief that I was feeling and the strength of the relationships that I fostered when I expressed my frustration in an honest and earnest manner. And I quickly took these lessons to apply them to other aspects of my life. For example, with my team service project, I felt confident and freed to tell my team members directly when and why I was feeling frustrated. And I've also began to cultivate the confidence in social situations when there might be a tough discussion taking place to just express how I'm feeling politely yet directly and just to put it out there as a new freeing experience rather than kind of bundling up and being so concerned about others' expectations or perceptions of me. So what I learned through this process is that I have very high expectations. I want to live in a society that's grounded in respect, compassion, and justice. And I just have to continue to express my frustrations when I see and experience things that don't meet these standards. Rather than becoming overwhelmed, I now feel confident to express myself and turn something that could be a complaint into a positive conversation and hopefully into positive action. I feel like I found my voice, whether I'm helping an 8-year-old through a tough day, or they're helping me through a tough day, or engaging with any number of the community organizations that I was so lucky to work with this year. So while frustration can feel kind of like a negative emotion, I found that expressing it can be positive, self-affirming, and a motivator for positive change.